Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and today I thought we'd have a little look at how to create this card made with our essential Christmas collection of dies. We'll also be having a little play with the Gemstones texture paste and the quick dry ink pads as well to create this project. So with no further ado, let's jump in and have a little play. So first things first, let's cut out our lovely tree. So I've been using our Elite cardstock. This is our Heritage Green. It's a lovely 300 GSM weight, so it's got quite a bit of body to it. This tree is also designed that it has a nice line running down the middle of it. So if you wish to fold it and form it or stick them back to make 3D hanging decorations, the centers for exploding boxes, or just 3D sort of decorations on the front of your cards, you absolutely can do. It just gives you more option in how you can create with this, giving you that ability. So I've gone ahead and I've cut this out already. So let's bring in some paper and start adding to this one. So I'm going to be using my Chameleon Green Quick Dry Permanent Ink Pad over the top of this. And you certainly don't have to. I just quite like the idea of bringing in a few more green tones and giving our tree a little bit more of that sort of evergreen feel to it. So bring in the ink and just lightly go over the top, not too heavy. We don't want to colour all of it. If we could have coloured the card or used a different shade of card. This is more about picking up those highlights. This die has on it quite a few debossed areas, including a little twiddle at the bottom of the tree and several little flourishes and dots throughout it. The dots are there for you to add your gems to, or your glitter glues or pearl dots, bits like that. They're a perfect 3mm size dot, but actually with this, all we want to do is highlight around the areas. We're then going to bring in our texture paste. Now this is our Gemstones Emerald Green texture paste, and we're going to play with this. Now obviously normally with a texture paste we would go over the top of a stencil to give us that depth. With this one, what I want to do is actually use it as a texture to highlight over the top. So I'm going to use my palette knife here just to open around the edges of our lid. Now I do recommend that you keep your lids in place because it just adds that extra airtight barrier onto your paste so that we don't have to worry about it drying, because obviously it's a gluey medium and the last thing we want it to do is have air get into there and create any dryness. So it is water based though, so you can add a little bit of water if you ever find that, but you shouldn't do. Just make sure your lid and your protective layer stays in place. Then all we're going to do is pick up a small amount of this with our fingertip and just rub this over the top. If you're not like me, I don't ever mind getting messy. I'm happy to get creative and covered in gilding waxes and pastes and polishes and inks and all sorts. But if you're worried about that in any way, shape or form, then of course you can go in instead with a paintbrush or an applicator sponge, something similar, and add your colour that way. But to me, I don't think you ever get as much control as if you actually do it yourself. You know exactly every nook and cranny that you've gone into and how it's going to apply because you're the one in there in the thick of it. So we've just added a small amount of sparkle, nothing too heavy. You can build that up if you want to. You can certainly add more on if you wish, but I'm quite happy to have it just every little area every now and again, not too heavy. So we'll take that one out of the way. Now, if you wish to, you can colour the star on the top with some pens or some inks, or you can cut another star or another tree and add that to the top of it. Many options. I'd also then add in quite a few gems or pearls. I've gone this time for coloured gems to give me that sort of Christmas sparkle, although usually with a Christmas tree, and this is obviously personal choice, but I usually like crystal lights, but for this one I wanted it to be full on Christmas, so I've gone for lots of different colour gems to really bring that sparkle and that colour into this project. We're then also going to be using our Holly Jolly corners. Now I'm bringing the die set for this one because this is quite a major part of this card. These are so much fun to work with, and there's a few options in my corner range now, and there's also a straight line die that joins the corners up, so if you don't want a gap go in between your corners, there is a line die that will cut the line to go between them. When we actually look at the dies here, what we have is we have an outside blade. Now this one is an outside square, so you can choose to cut these panels into there if you wish to, but if you don't want to, it's just a lovely matte and layer square. Then we have our X die, as I refer to them. Now our X die is a separate die. This runs all the way through the middle here to create what I refer to as the X, and it also runs all the way around the edges. In the centres, we then have our 4 filigree panels. Now let's see if we can get one of these off of here, just so I can show you this in more detail. So this one doesn't have the blade attached to it, it's all about our X die. Now this means that we can use the X die on its own and it will cut out the panels that we need for the backing parts. It also means that if we nest these parts back into the X die, like you see them on the sheet here, and cut them out, we will end up with filigree panels like so, because of both parts are in place. So just the X on its own, we're going to get the solids, the X and the filigree, we're going to get this bit. If you prefer, you can also take the filigree panel, cut that into your card, and it will stay there as like an aperture panel instead, or a delicate filigree cut-in panel. So again, lots of options in how you can work with those. For this project, we're going to do very similar to what we just did. We would decorate up our corner in the same way, bringing in that ink, bringing in that texture paste, and then we would glue one on top of the other so that we have that perfect backing to go behind our corner. Once we've done that, this is what we would achieve. We've got our lovely two-tone green corner with that extra sparkle and our little berries added on where needed with the holly too. It looks like I've lost a berry actually, but never mind, we'll continue on. A lost berry isn't the end of the world. We're then going to bring in our card blank and we'll start building up on top of this one. So our card blank size, to give you a rough idea, is 16.5 centimetres by just over 19, and I've stepped down from my mats and layers and I've gone for our lovely heritage green cardstock and our romantic red. We're then going to bring in some gold mirror card and we're going to add that down as our next layer. Now I love traditional Christmas colours, so to me this sort of combo of red, green and gold is really beautiful. But of course you could be doing your modern Christmas colours instead if you prefer. Now I'm working with my Jamie Rodgers Crafts clear drying glue. This does exactly what it says on the bottle. It will dry clear, so if I do happen to get any in any areas I don't need it to be, it's not the end of the world. We're not going to see it once it's dry. It's also a really strong bonding glue. It's relatively quick drying, but actually it does give you a little bit of wiggle room. So if you do make a mistake or you need to reset something, you've got that moment to actually go back in and do so without it being stuck there and damaging anything that you're trying to remove it from. We're then going to bring in our corner pieces. Now I've foam padded on a couple of these layers. I've also foam padded on my corners. Now I've used my 2mm foam tape. Again, this is one of our Jamie Rodgers Crafts products. That comes on a 5-metre roll, so that you've got quite good value there in your foam tape. It's much nicer to buy it in bigger rolls. You're not replacing them all the time, and you're getting that little bit extra value too. We're going to place these on. Now these corners, I love these because we can build up so many items with them and we can use them in so many ways. They're great for putting in photo frames. They're perfect for scrapbooking because you can actually tuck your photos into them if you wish to. Or of course, like on this card, we can just use them as little accentuating details in the corners. You can also then quite easily take them onto your envelopes if you wish to, and you can take them onto the inside of your card. And of course, when we're talking about Christmas, you might even wish to use these on your gift tags and bits like that. So everything coordinates all the way through your project. So I just really love these. They're something I use all the time. We're then going to bring in our tree, and this time I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the back of my hand. Now we don't always recommend you do this, and if you're going to, do a patch test and make sure you wipe it off quickly. That's the disclaimer I have to tell you, because it's good to make sure that you're not going to have any reactions. But I've done this for a very long time and I'm still here, but of course we are all different, so do test, do check. But we're going to add a little bit of glue onto the back of that, and we're going to take that and we're going to post that just underneath there so that it sits just in the middle of our card. Now on my final version I have added a ribbon, but nobody wants to watch me try and tie ribbons on videos because it takes me forever to get them right. So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to bring in our finished version. Now as you can see with this one, we've got that lovely sparkle going on, we've got all of those gems in place, we've got that little finishing touch of ribbon. Now of course if you wanted to, you could add in a sentiment here, or of course you could go to town and add more embellishments, more bling. You could have used something like our snow stencil in the background and added some falling snow coming down on that Decadent Ivory layer if you prefer. There's a lot of ways we can dress this up, but hopefully you'll agree that's quite an easy but effective card that you can create with just a couple of dies, and of course our Gemstones texture paste, and of course our quick dry ink pad. If you would like to get your hands on any of the bits and bobs I've just shared with you in today's video, then check out our stockist guide. You'll find it on the website, which is www.jamierodgerscrafts.com. decadent.com, and on there you will find the list of all of our stockists in the UK. We'll soon be adding international stockists as well, so keep a little eye on that list. In the meantime, several of our UK stockists do of course post internationally, so have a little look around and see what you can find if you would like to receive our products from around the world. But as I say, stockist list with all of our UK stockists currently updated so that you can find where to get the goodies from. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.